All right. We are live for Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you, hanging out, answering questions, asking questions, and I promise that the audio will be better this week. I don't know what was going on last week. I apologize. I think I've got it fixed. But by the way, if there are any issues with the audio, please let me know. Don't wait until after the broadcast. Don't be afraid to type it in there and let me know. But this is going to be a good one today. Looking forward to spending some time with Chris Tester, who is going to be answering questions about TikTok. This has been an interesting prep getting ready for this live show with Chris because I asked him about 2 weeks ago, and at the time that I asked him, he had about I think around 14,000 followers on TikTok, and he had like 160,000 likes on TikTok or something like that. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And so I had a big graphics package put together for all of this, and I had to keep constantly updating that graphics package because he just kept getting more followers, more followers, more followers. And so he is doing some amazing things on TikTok. So Chris is a British voice actor. He's been nominated for 11 One Voice Awards, which is pretty crazy. Clients include Microsoft, BMW, Expedia. So where we are at as of about 10 minutes ago, because I just recreated the graphic again, as of about 10 minutes ago, 19,000 followers, over 19,000 followers, more than 200,000 likes, and a whole bunch of videos that have basically been doing viral things. And so that is what is going on. So I think that Chris is going to have some good information to offer us, and really looking forward to having him on the show today. So welcome to Free Advice Friday, Chris. Looking forward to this. Um,
Hello.
the floor is open for those of you that want to ask questions. Feel free to type those questions into the comments. If you could just do me one quick favor, if you have a question you would like to ask, if you could just put a capital Q beside it, and that'll help it to stand out in the chat for me, so it'll be easier for me to find. Uncle Roy says, not sure if I can make it today taking a stress test, except that you're here, you're watching, so we'll do our best to reduce your stress. Welcome, Caroline, Luke. Thank you. Kay's here. Graham, good to see you hanging out, Graham. So welcome to Free Advice Friday with Chris Tester. So Chris, how did you
Yes.
decide TikTok was the place for you?
I threw all of the shit at the wall, and TikTok stuck, essentially. Like all of us in voice acting, I think people say social media, and then I immediately go into a cold sweat because I think I'm the type of person who, if I didn't have a business to run, would I even go on social media at all? That's a very big question to me. I don't necessarily know that I would. And so I've tried various different ones in different ways, but very specifically recently now, because video is king and all of those kind of things, I tried Instagram, then I tried YouTube for a bit. And as you're aware, I was kind of like at one stage, I was looking at really offering coaching, and that was a big thing. And YouTube was helpful for that. But it was only really on TikTok that I began to actually see some real traction for some of my more kind of creative stuff, stuff that I was really kind of passionate about. And from that, because I think the platform has the organic reach right now, there's a phrase for you, the organic reach that an Instagram or a YouTube, well, maybe not YouTube Shorts, but a lot of these platforms don't have because they've been around for so long and they want people to pay for ads. Whereas TikTok, literally anybody can get eyeballs onto their content, and that's what I saw. But regardless of kind of the vanity metrics, of which I fully appreciate that is a huge kind of distracting thing. People can
Yes.
have hundreds of thousands of likes and anything, but yeah, can they pay the bills? I mean, I'm still very much early on in my journey on TikTok. I've probably been kind of consistently posting on it for about 3-4 months with original content, and that's amassed to about 4 jobs now. So you can say in terms of the trade-off, already we have questions, but some of those opportunities, all of those opportunities are for people that I would never have even imagined reaching out to. They're the best kind of inbound work, i.e. work that, from people that I had no relationship whatsoever with, who I didn't even know necessarily existed. But today, for example, I had a really great conversation meeting with a commercial director. And when I was like, okay, have you got everything from my website that you need and all of that kind of stuff? He was like, I want 3 of your TikTok speeches. That's what I want to do to pitch to the other commercial directors,
That's amazing.
because I want someone with your kind of like background showing your acting chops. I don't want just another commercial demo.
That's
Like, yeah,
great.
we'll have your commercial demo as well. So that's what, so that's why I'm doing kind of what I'm doing on there at the moment and seeing how far I can push it. But it's really interesting to see. Yeah.
What's blowing my mind is you said we're talking 3 months. Like this is not like you haven't been at this for years. So I want to bring this up. So this is your TikTok right now. So 19.2 thousand followers, 204,000 likes on your videos, and just scrolling through, like you can see 87.3 thousand, 78,000, 200,000, 38,000. Listen, like 3 months, guys. 3 months of starting out. There's a 50,000. There's another 38,000. Like, yeah, there's a few in there that are 2,000 or 3,000. And comparatively speaking, you're like, oh, this one must stink because I got 200,000 on that one. But you
Yeah.
still reached 2,000 people, which when you stop and think about it just for what it is, a free place to go and reach 2,000 people is pretty spectacular. So clearly what you are doing on the platform right now is absolutely working. And so that's why I think you're going to have a lot to offer here for people who are interested in learning more about it. So let's get our first question. This is Freak Flag Fly. What kind of VO jobs can you get on TikTok? Am I prejudiced in thinking it's not the place to land corporate gigs? Ah.
Well, my very first job from TikTok, one of my first job from 4 jobs, my very first job was an e-learning thing. Yeah, it was an e-learning project for no, I can't say their name, but quite a well-known brand. If I said the brand, you more than likely have known about it. So that surprised me because that's not what I imagined it would be. But it was. The other 3 jobs, 2 of them are video games, and a third one is kind of like a kind of like board game narrator, games master kind of thing as well, which is in an area that I'd kind of dabbled in, but not really known where to go at all. So there is quite a bit of variety. But I mean, I work. You see the suit and the tie on my logo and stuff. Not now, not now.
You're
But
so
you,
off brand right now. It's so
I'm
confusing.
so off. I mean, I am wearing blue tenuously, but it's Friday and I don't care enough. Of course I do. Of course I can. But I'm very much my brand, my initial brand. What got me most traction for a person like me sounding was corporate stuff. So I was surprised to then get someone say, "Hi, we're looking for a voice for e-learning, blah 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 blah." I would say though that was partly to do with some of the content that I've been experimenting with. So there's a fantastic content creator called Tawny Plattis.
Yep.
And she did a whole corporate thing, the corporate verse, I think it is. So it's kind of like nightmare e-learning corporate
Yes.
scenarios, which she did brilliantly and scripted herself as
Yes.
well and collaborated with some writers. And, that really took off and went viral. And like, I mean, basically, I was just stealing everybody's ideas and trying them on for size.
Doing your
So
version.
one little yeah, so I did a kind of an honest e-learning version where I collaborated with an e-learning a writer in the UK. Um, and we did like about 12, 13 kind of videos, which were really fun to kind of like do. Very similar, I would say, but that was one of the videos that worked and got that kind of traction as well. Because there are a lot of people in corporate environments are looking for escapism. Where are they looking for escapism? They're looking for escapism on their phones.
Yep.
And, so if you use the right hashtags, office humor or something else like that, then you can actually tap into an audience much more readily there, I would say. So I wouldn't negate, I don't think anything is off the table because even the more corporate brands are going, what the hell's going on TikTok? And
Yep.
how,
It's
how,
true.
can, how, can, how can we get a piece of the pie?
It's a good reminder because, I mean, if you asked me to list in order the 10 types of voiceover that I thought that I would book on TikTok or as a result of efforts on TikTok, e-learning would be somewhere around number 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a
Really.
good reminder, right? Don't make assumptions about what's available on the platform. There are a lot of people on the platform and doing a lot of different things. Here's an interesting question. This one comes from Kay. It says, how can you verify the jobs you get through TikTok are legit?
Well, I mean, as you would do with any job, really, anybody kind of who comes into my inbox or who DMs me, you take that conversation through an official channel as soon as possible, I think is the only thing. And then it's responsible for you to do kind of like due diligence. If someone's gonna fall into my DMs or whatever the lingo is, I mean, first of all, they can't unless I'm following them back. But if when it gets to that level of correspondence, I just say, sure, email me at this, and this is the information that I'll need. And
Yeah.
then you do the due diligence. And so far, I've not had anybody who's been like wasting my time. There've been lots of kids going like, "Oh, I would really like to afford you to like voice my be a dungeon master on my role playing game," and I'm like,
Will you do
"Sure, as
my
soon as."
voicemail greeting?
And I mean, voicemail grating, fine. That's £5 a prompt. Let's talk. But I mean, for in terms of like for their dungeon master stuff and things like that, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, no, not. I don't have the time, but thank you very much. And if you do have a budget or anything else like that, but let's talk. But yeah, so that's the best way of kind of qualifying. But I've not been spammed
Yep.
by crazy rogue kind of stuff or people promising me the world if I, exchange bank details.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a common sense thing, right? It's the same kind of protections that you would put in place for any other job that you found off of social media, or somebody emailed you through your website or whatever. There's just
Yeah.
certain things that you've got to be looking out for. So
Mm.
again, we're talking with Chris Tester, talking about TikTok. If you do have questions, by all means type those questions into the comments. If you could just put a capital Q beside your question, that way it pops out to me in the chat. I can notice it a little bit easier. This is an interesting question because this is something that I thought a lot about before I signed up. Do you have concerns about connections with China and our data being stolen or used in any bad way? There's been so much hype and talk about this, and even to the
Yeah.
point where the government's talking about getting involved in, removing TikTok and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I can only obviously my perspective is from the UK, and again, talking about due diligence. Do you read all of the terms and conditions and all of these kind of things?
Yep.
And the temptation to go like, "Oh, there's been an update to the app." I'll just go yes because I want to start scrolling. So, I mean, I've done as much as research as I possibly can. To me personally, right now, in terms of all of the other huge corporations, international corporations that I've signed my soul away to, really, there's not anything that is like hugely concerning for me, certainly in terms of the information that I've inputted into the app. But taking precautions such as the two-factor authentication so that your actual account itself is secure is obviously a kind of like a number one priority. But I feel as if it's pulling any data from my phone that a lot of other apps on my phone aren't pulling the data from? No, I don't personally myself. And I completely understand there is a gray area, and depending
Yep.
on what you read and when you read it,
Yep.
things can change every time there's an app update and all of those kind of things. If you feel uncertain, if it gives you anxiety, then don't do it.
Don't
Don't
do
go
it. Yep.
there. It's not necessary.
Yep.
Would be my thing. But I'm willing to. I don't feel as if it is a risk from what I've read and from what I've done, but I understand for those people who do. In which case, yeah, give it a wide berth.
The only thing that I've read, which was a little bit concerning for me, and this was a couple of weeks ago, and it was very,
Mm,
very heavily reported in a number of legitimate publications, was about this idea that there may be keystroke tracking if you opened up links inside of the TikTok browser. So
mm.
if you click a link inside of the app, it opens up in TikTok's related browser. And if you happen to be typing in your username and password on a website at that point or something, there may be keystroke tracking. And so the workaround for that is simply just to open it in
And just
your
follow those
external
keystrokes.
browser, right? Open it in
Yeah.
Safari or Chrome or whatever you're using. But yeah, that's the only thing that I've heard. But I'll admit that whole connection and the amount of attention that the government is giving it, and at one point there was talk of the government trying to force Google and Apple to take it out of their app stores. It certainly brings
Yeah.
up questions. On the flip side of that, I see what's going on there, and there's a part of me that's like, and why I ultimately, for me, I decided to join was I was like, look, there is something going on there, and if I can get in on that wave, then maybe it's worth it
Yeah.
at this point.
I mean, and I think just kind of brand awareness generally about
Yep.
TikTok as a subject in our area of media and
Yep.
production, it's a huge subject. I mean, the content that I create on TikTok, I also use as content elsewhere. And I deliberately, for now anyway, because the algorithms don't kill it, except on Instagram because it's a direct rival. But I'll use TikTok branded videos on LinkedIn or in my email correspondence, for example, as well, because I know it's a thing that the creators that I'm reaching out to or in corresponding with, they're talking about it. That's
Yep,
part of the conversation. So I feel
absolutely.
as if I'm adding value, not only with the fact that I'm creating content that features my voice, but not in a I'm doing a voiceover kind of way. It's in a slight, there's a tangent to it,
Yep.
but also the fact that it's through the frame of this media platform that is really hot right now.
That's a really important thing to note too, talking about the branding. So if you create a video, if you create a reel in Instagram and you download it and or share it to TikTok, it will have the Instagram branding on it on
And it will
TikTok,
get
and
killed,
it will get killed in the algorithm, and vice versa.
and
If
vice
you
versa.
create a video in TikTok and then
Yep.
share it to Instagram, it will have the TikTok branding on it, and Instagram will kill it because the algorithm can recognize it, but
But the
LinkedIn isn't doing it yet.
Yeah, LinkedIn is, go for it. Anything,
Yep.
really. Honestly, I still think they're kind of playing catch up with so many different things on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Bless their little antiquated ways. Fine, okay, but for me, it's almost kind of like a badge of social proof. Really, in a way, it's kind of like, yes, I am posting on here. Yes, my
Yep.
username is there. So if anybody who sees my content on LinkedIn is also on TikTok, they can go, oh, it's Chris Naturally RP, put that in, and then they've got a
There you
choice of
are.
whether or not they follow me or not.
Yep.
I mean, for those people who do want to kind of like hop between different kind of like platforms and try things out, there are websites out there where you can literally put a video, a link in from your Instagram post, and it'll pop out an unbranded version. Same for TikTok. That you just Google them, they're there. So you can create content on one app and then send it to a third party kind of like website, and and then you can download something without that branding there and then repurpose it if you want to without the logos as well. So
Yep.
if you do want to, I started out on the platform basically by going, I'm creating all of these Instagram reels with all of this trending audio and stuff. Well, I might as well dump them on TikTok as well.
Yep.
That's how I started on TikTok, was just kind of like, well, I'll try it and see if I'll throw some shit over there and see
Yep.
whether or not it sticks. And that was kind of starting. But then I realized that actually there seems to be more niches and more potential on TikTok, and that's why I started to try and mixing it up a bit more in terms of the content that I was actually creating.
One of the things that I figured out, because I actually like the captioning on Instagram more than the captioning
Yeah,
on TikTok.
aesthetically.
And
Yeah,
so I will actually create the reel in Instagram, but then save it before I publish it. And
yeah,
so if you save it before you publish it, it
you get
doesn't
the
have
captions.
the Instagram branding on it. So
Yeah.
we saw your profile. We saw that, hundreds of thousands of likes and crazy views on your videos and stuff like that after just 3 months. So Vanessa's got a really interesting question here. I've been using TikTok for a year and have not found the traction I'm looking for. Did you find that your posting schedule was a huge factor, or are you crediting it to something else?
There is something to that. Not in terms of like you need to post every day, or you need to post at 4 p.m., whatever your time is, or anything else like that. But there's something about creating an audience. On the one hand, a TikTok is like every video is judged by its own merits, very much more so. Whereas with Instagram, it's like Instagram like shows it to a small portion of the people that are following you, and if a certain number of them like it and engage with it, it sends it to slightly more of your followers, and then if enough people engage with it, then it goes wider. Whereas with TikTok, it's like I'll throw it out there, see what
Yeah. Boom,
in
there
my
it
case,
goes.
yeah, which means that a lot of the people who follow you might not see your content immediately, if at all. But if you use the right hashtags and if you're going on the right thing, if there's the right angle, if there's the right hook, if it's an engaging piece of content in one way or the other, it doesn't need to, your 10 or 20 followers or whatever don't need to have engaged with it for it to necessarily do well. So it's a two-way thing. For me at the moment now, I post Monday through Friday, one video a day, because that's consistent for me.
Mhm.
And I'm also kind of putting my foot down on it to see how far I can push it. And also because I'm using this content in other places as well. And I'd say an important thing is that, how can we repurpose content? The content that I create is useful for me as an actor, as an acting workout. It's also useful for my LinkedIn posts occasionally. It's also repurposed for my blog posts for SEO as well. So it's kind of like, even if it's a quote unquote dud on TikTok, it doesn't matter because it's being used in multiple other different kind of ways
Repurposed
as
for other
well. And
pieces. Yep.
that's our main concern with social media is like, I'm wasting so much time, I'm hemorrhaging time. Am I seeing results? Am I seeing return on investment? I can't track this the same way that I can track email marketing,
Yep.
for example. I don't see what my return ratio is.
Yep.
But going back to that kind of thing, some level of consistency will certainly help. And certainly, even if you get a hugely viral post, you got to kind of you've got to teach your audience when to expect.
And
Because
then
now
ride
I'm
the
getting
wave, right?
yeah, because then now people are kind of asking me like, "Oh, when do you post? How regularly do you post?" Because I've got to a stage now where I'm asking, well, the audience, my audience, parts of my audience are telling me like, "This is what you should do next," because I'm recording monologues from everything, essentially speeches, bits and pieces from everything, and poetry and things like that. So people are coming up from with loads of different kind of suggestions, and they want to know when might be the next time that they expect it. Do you only post on a Tuesday or a Thursday? Do you only post on a Wednesday? I think with any social platform, as long as you're clear up front and say, this is how regularly I post, whatever consistency means to you without driving you mad or insane or
Yes. Yeah.
endangering your mental health.
Yep.
Because the other thing is like, because consistency is key, as with so many things as a business, you know, because consistency is key, you've got to play in your favor about how can I be kept consistent. And that is like, make sure it's easy, make sure it's enjoyable, make sure that it's fun, make sure that it's consistency on your terms. If that's once a week or once a month, then that's a start. Not be like, oh God, I've got to be beholden because I've got to bash out 12 videos in the next week and I hate all of it.
Yes.
Because that
Yeah.
because that level of consistency isn't going to go anywhere. And I was consistently posting every day for about 3-4 months before something went viral.
Yep.
And what went viral was completely not what I was expecting to. It's a 5-minute monologue by not a well-established writer, a brilliant writer who I'd worked with in my theatre producing days, but not an established name at all. And it was about Zeus as the god who had created the algorithm in the internet. I mean, you can't get much more meta than that.
Yep.
But anyway, it's kind of like it's a 5-minute monologue rant essentially with
Not
no kind
generally
of
what you would think people would be watching on TikTok.
no, exactly. But now it's kind of like there's a whole variety. So I'm doing Shakespeare one day, and then I'm doing an anime speech the next day that I've never bloody heard of, and then the day after that, I'm doing some poetry or something like that, and that's stimulating for
It
me.
is. It's
Anyway,
crazy to me. There does not seem to be a rhyme or reason to it. But the one thing that I have seen over and over and over and over again is you do not have to have tens of thousands or even thousands of followers in order to have a video hit. And I think that's a misconception with it too, is it's not worth it because, I've got 12 followers or I've got no followers or whatever. The second video that I posted when I had like 20 followers on the platform turned around and got, 3,000 views with 20 followers. And
yep.
it's so random. You just got to find the right thing that hits. Here's another question. This is an interesting one. Comes from Mike. It says, if you've seen a lot of success on TikTok, why is it not on your website, your link tree, linked from any of your other socials? Are you keeping it at arm's length on purpose, or have you just thought
I'm
about it?
I'm not keeping it at arm's length on purpose. It's just like my website. I mean, I should probably kind of because it's all been quite so soon that I should probably update my website and put the TikTok link at the
Just haven't
bottom.
done it yet.
But I just haven't done it yet because I'm so busy.
Well, I mean,
Um,
as I'm reading that, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I mean, I've only been using it for a few weeks now, but I haven't put it on any of my stuff yet because I just didn't
so
think about it.
because I think my priority is if they're on my because it's what's your endpoint. If they're
Yep.
on my website, I don't want them to leave my website.
Yep.
I want them to go, yeah, this guy is the best.
Yep.
Bye. So if you go onto my actor's website, which is linked to my voiceover website, they're separated, but they've got a link together as well at the same time. I actually have posted the videos on a page on my acting page to go like, I've got acting chops and these are what they are.
Right.
This is the thing that I do aside of my professional show reels and all of that. So they do exist kind of like there. Sure, I could reintegrate the TikTok aspect as well. But that's not my priority in terms of my main priority as a business owner is to get people on my website to contact me to book me for work. That's always the end goal. It's not like ha 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 ha. Am I kind of? And if I was wary about being on the TikTok platform, then I wouldn't use Chris Naturally RP and I wouldn't have my branded image as my site.
Yep.
as my profile picture. So it's not to do with that. It's to do with my own ineptitude, which I'm now retrospectively trying to justify by saying, yeah, no, I'm
There were
completely
logical,
worthless.
rational reasons for that.
Yeah,
Here's a
totally.
here's a good question because I know that this is a hang up for a lot of people. So, what do you think about creating the video on your phone? I think the general question here is, can you just do it on your phone, or are you doing it with a video studio setup and a mirrorless camera
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, no mirrorless camera all the way. I'm like 12K in here. Yeah. Uh, so, I mean, the tools, I would say it's worth experimenting with these apps purely for the short form videoing, video editing capacities that they have anyway, because you can add voiceover to these kind of things. You can add captions to these things. And then whether or not you post to the platform or use them elsewhere, it's a great thing to experiment with anyway. So a lot of it is just within the kind of camera. I've gone a stage up from that in that my monologues are, I don't just film them, I film them twice and then I edit together, just so it's visually a bit more interesting, but also so there's a style. And I think this comes down again to in terms of, a bit like how regularly do you post? What do your videos look like?
Yep.
It's a bit like on TikTok, somebody will do something at the start and it's kind of like their kind of like brand, whether it's like knocking the table and then going into the thing or closing the door and then saying the thing. It's kind of so when people are scrolling, they go, oh, it's that person.
Yeah.
Immediately there's that brand kind of recognition.
Recognition.
With me,
Yep.
it's kind of like there's the guy, I'll say the first line, and it'll either be an outside shot or a close shot, and then I'll cut within the first line, and we're kind of like in. But it's immediately, it creates an element of intrigue as well. The fact that there's a cut there, it's not just the phone. But in terms of people that have capacity for brand content and all of that kind of stuff, the Stephen Johnsons, the Tawny Platts, the Noble Sons, or other creators out there, they're not doing kind of crazy. I mean, sometimes they are, and so you can see how they've upped their game. But where they got that initial traction was just from the phone, and there's still that trade-off in terms of like you don't want to be too overproduced on the platform because too overproduced means unauthentic, which means like not what we're on this platform for, if that makes sense.
It's every video that I have ever created that is on my YouTube channel, that is on my TikTok, that is on my Instagram. It's been shot on my phone. This is the microphone. It's a Shure lapel mic. It's got kind of a short
Three
cord,
hundred
which is nice.
thousand dollars, ladies
Yeah,
and
like this
gentlemen.
is what
But
I'm
the
like. I think it's a good thing to talk about though, because I think there is a misconception that if you don't have a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, or you don't have
Yeah, I
studio
mean,
lighting and all
I
that
just
sort of
shoot
stuff.
on my iPhone, that's all I do, and
Yep.
I've got an old iPhone, an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 7 even, which I use as this webcam, and that multi-purpose is kind of like my second camera, quote
Yep.
unquote.
And
That's what
the editing capabilities that are built into the apps, both Instagram for reels and TikTok for videos, even YouTube for shorts. Like there's a ton of editing
so good.
capability that is built right into it. So to get
Yeah,
started, you do not need to do anything fancy. I mean, the videos that I'm posting, I'm not doing any editing on other than, maybe I'm adding captions, right? Like,
yeah,
and I mean, obviously I'm not getting 200,000 views either, but the point is that it can be that simple to start,
yeah,
right? You
totally.
don't have to have this full fancy, full blown setup to get started. Well,
No.
I want to share this. So if any of you would like to get connected with Chris, check out some of the other content that he's creating. These are all of the different platforms: Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I'm curious, Chris, are you creating? And I think you touched on this a little, but are you creating unique content for each of these platforms, or are you repurposing content so that it fits on the different platforms? What's your strategy there?
So my strategy, such as it is that I not completely unique content for every different platform because that way madness lies. And I've only got a certain amount of time in the day. So what I do is what are the platforms where you get the best tools to create? And I would say Instagram and TikTok for video content are great for that. And then it's like, where else could I put that content afterwards? So yeah, that's where it'll pop up on LinkedIn. If you follow me on LinkedIn, it's like the majority where I get the most business in terms of social media platforms is LinkedIn.
Yep.
But I use a lot of TikTok content in order to engage with
Yep.
that, in order to be able to reel people in. Oh, real. That's a good pun. I was a bit too pleased with myself about that. But it's essentially the same kind of content, which is to do with like, how can I create something that's kind of stimulating towards me and which will make people go, oh, I want to see more of this, or I want to find out about this writer, or whatever that ends up being.
Right on. Lots of people, I think, are really shocked by the realization that you do not need to have professional camera equipment or anything
No,
like that in order
none
to be able to
whatsoever.
do this. That this is literally just
If anything, it
film it on your
counts against
iPhone,
you.
stop overthinking it is
If
basically
it
where we're at.
if anything, it counts against you, because as soon as you get, on an app like that, something 4K, super sharp or anything, the expectations become different
Yeah.
in terms of the viewer and everything. It's kind of like, "Oh, okay, this is someone with some real production value, and therefore their message is gonna be in a different kind of like way." And I'd argue that's not the kind of relationships that you, as a voice actor and as a talent, and as someone who wants to be seen as creative and human, that's not necessarily gonna be your kind of bag. So look at the creators out there, who are operating that sphere, and even if they're doing drastically different things in terms of the actual content that they're creating, a lot of the same styles kind of like holds true. Like, Stephen Johnson's, his a lot of his stuff is very well produced and sharply edited now, but it's still almost 99% of his stuff is done from his
Just done on his
camera,
phone. Yep.
because it's him and his personality and his voice and his sense of humor. That's what it's riding on. you know
I'm looking, I'm scrolling through, and I can see like it looks like most of your stuff is done maybe in your booth. Like,
yeah,
there's a curtain in the background. Like it's not, there's no professional lighting, there's no built-in sets. Like
no, strangely
it's
not,
just
there's no.
authentic. It's just you being you and being authentic. And
I
look,
mean,
it's
occasionally I wheel in the cat, obviously,
yeah.
for
I mean, we
kind of
get a
like,
few extra thousand views by bringing a cat into the shot or
no,
whatever. But I mean, you can
yeah.
see from looking at the numbers, you've got videos with tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of views, and those videos are just you standing in front of a microphone. There's nothing fancy about it. And so there's really, I mean, that's the beauty of platforms like this, is the barrier to entry. In order to be able to do this, the barrier to entry is low. If you have a phone, you have the ability to do TikTok. Let's take one more question, and then I'll let you go, because I think this is a good one. How do you connect your mic to your phone? Is there some kind of adapter or something? Are you using like an iRig or something like that? Or are you
No, I mean, this is where the kind of like post process. If you want to get, the thing is that all of these social platforms, they're going to compress the sound to shit. so, so that's tricky. And especially if you're doing stuff which features your voice, I think, again, in terms of marginal gains, if you can get the recording of your actual kind of rig setup, even if it is compressed, it's going to sound better. So that is when I do, because I'm talking about performance. What I do is I sync it. So I will record through here, and I will, and I'll do, as we all do. I clap at the beginning, and then there's actually a
line it up?
program you can get. You can get a free program that will literally sync up the two things like automatically for you, so you don't have to go like, no, there's still an echo. So that syncs it for you, and then you can edit it accordingly. Then you can take it back onto your phone or whatever. But I'm dealing with the better audio. Is there a kind of clever way of being able to input it both in simultaneously? I think that would be overwhelming. It may well be readily available. Please let me know if it is readily available. But for me, this is the simplest way: is that I record the waveform and treat that kind of separately, and then I just sync it up in post with the actual images.
I do think the one piece of equipment that I know other voice actors have used and I've looked into myself is the iRig. And
Yeah.
the iRig gives you the ability to go XLR to Lightning or XLR
Okay.
to 3.5 mils. So you
Wow.
could,
Yeah.
in theory, I could take my U87 in my booth, connect it into the iRig,
Bang
and
it
then
in.
connect that into my phone using this iRig adapter, which, you can find whatever Amazon or
Okay.
wherever. I think they're about $130 or something like
Because,
that.
because I mean, the cliche of like, oh, it's actually the sound that's most important. It's not the visuals. I mean, does hold true in
Yeah.
terms of if you listen to, especially with the quality of headphones that we normally have that are
Yep.
readily available on the high street now. As soon as something just sounds a little bit off, you're like, oh God, I don't care. Move
Yep.
on. That's it.
It's true. All right. Well, Chris, this has been awesome. Thank you for hanging out for a bit and answering some questions. Again, if anybody wants to look Chris up on social media, if you're not following him already, get connected with him on TikTok to see what he's doing on the platform. There's the social media again. Chris Naturally RP is the TikTok URL. So check that out. Watch what he's doing, and you'll see. Watch a few of the videos. You'll figure out pretty quickly. This is something that any of us are capable of doing if we have a phone. It's not, Hollywood produced content that has $15,000 or $20,000 worth of equipment that's required. It's, if you got a phone, you can do TikTok. It really is that simple. Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate you hanging out.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right, guys. I will be sticking around. So if you do have any business and marketing questions that you would like to ask or get answered, then by all means, let's carry on with Free Advice Friday. And I am here to absolutely answer those questions. Here's the question that Brad has to ask every single week. Not a question, but thank you for letting me know the audio was great. It was so bad last week, and I apologize. I did not know. What's going on the grill this weekend? I don't actually know. I'm thinking maybe a tri-tip might go on the smoker this weekend because it is supposed to be a really nice weekend here. And I don't know how many of those really nice weekends we've got left here. And so before snow starts to fly and whatnot. And so definitely going to have to take advantage of the smoker in some capacity this weekend. This is it. Kay says, bring my cats into it. Got it. I have said before, I have actually put this in some of my presentations, which is really funny. If you have a baby, babies work really well at getting a lot of hits on your social media content. Babies, puppies, or cats will work just as effectively. So that might be the secret is babies, puppies, or cats. So again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. It was great to have Chris on for a little while answering some of your questions. And I am going to stick around here and continue to answer questions. If there's anything that you would like to ask, voiceover, business, and marketing related, type it into the comments. Put a capital Q beside it so that it stands out for me in the chat. And I'll be able to find that question and answer that question. And I'm happy to do it. Let's see. Let me scroll through and see if I've missed anything. Here's one from Vanessa. Vanessa says, if you were using puppets, how would you mic that? So I'm assuming if you're using puppets, you're going to be off the screen. The puppets are going to be on the screen, in which case you could just do the lapel mic. Like I showed this one a couple of minutes ago that I'm using. This is the Shure Motive. It's Shure Motive. I forget what the number is. 88, MV88. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a 3.5 millimeter hookup. Right. And then I've got the dongle that goes 3.5 to lightning. And that's what I plug into my phone. And that is what I use. That is what I have used for years. Like literally almost every single piece of video content that I have created for social media, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, it's been created with that microphone, which, I think it cost me about maybe $100 or something like that. Just recently, I upgraded to this one, a Kamika. And it's actually the transmitters over here. Actually, here I can just get this. So it is. It's a wireless, right? So this is the receiver, and it's got the 3.5 millimeter jack that goes into that dongle, right? And so then this plugs into my phone using that dongle, and then this is the microphone pack that connects to me with the. There's the microphone, and so that's a wireless mic, and that's what I've started using in the last week on some of my videos. Now that one was a little bit more expensive. I got that one off of Amazon. I think it cost me $260 or something like that. But I mean, there are certainly cheaper options that are out there for microphones. But I would say you do definitely want to make sure that you've got good quality audio if you are going to be creating content for any of these platforms. Like last week was a prime example. The live stream was not as good last week, and people commented on it because the visuals, it looked great and Bridget was doing a great job and the information was fantastic, but the audio quality was not great. And so the audio quality really does matter. Guys, I just want to remind you too, I've got a webinar coming up here on November 15th. If you haven't checked that one out yet, it's called 10 Marketing Commandments for the VOpreneur. These are foundational marketing principles that you need to understand. Some really solid advice for email marketing, some solid tips for social media, and some solid tips just for marketing in general. That's going to be happening live on Zoom November 15th at 7 o'clock Eastern. And you can get the details and sign up for that one at marcscottcoaching.com. marcscottcoaching.com. Look for 10 marketing commandments for the VOpreneur. All right, let's see. What does Laura have to say? Laura says, your IG Reels look great. Do you make and caption them within Instagram, or do you create them outside of Instagram? What software do you use and then post? Same for TikTok. Yeah, so literally, my Instagram Reels, I record on my phone. I have a tripod and a ring light. And again, that's something that I got off Amazon for, I got it on like a Prime Day special and it cost me under $100. So I've got a tripod and a ring light, and the tripod holds my phone within the ring light. I use the microphone like I just showed you. I usually record it in the camera app on my phone. So the video just gets recorded that way. And then I upload it to Instagram, and then I add the captions using the caption capabilities of Instagram. And then I post it as a reel. Or I will upload it to Instagram, add the captions in Instagram because I like their captions better, download it, like I save it, and then I publish it to TikTok. But that's it. There's no fancy equipment involved for any of the stuff that I'm creating. It's literally just my phone, a microphone, and I've added a ring light into the mix, which even then it wasn't something that I always had. Now, when I'm doing my YouTube videos, those all get filmed on my phone. Those videos are now getting filmed with this microphone that I showed you. And those ones do get a little bit more editing in Final Cut Pro. But just because there's some extra effects and stuff like that, some different overlays and things that I use. But yeah, for Instagram and for TikTok, it's my phone, a microphone, and a ring light, and that's it. It is simple. I don't do it complicated. I don't have time for complicated. And I'm trusting that if the quality of the content is good, as in the information that I'm sharing, if that is good, then people will overlook, a production value or a lack thereof when it comes to production value. FD Cox, hey Mark, if a prospect doesn't reply to a cold email and a follow-up, should you contact them again later? If so, when and how? Fantastic question. All right, so you've sent your introductory email, didn't get a reply. You sent your follow-up email, didn't get a reply. What do I do now? There's a couple of different scenarios that I will play. Scenario number one is I file them away in my CRM, and maybe in 6 months, I will try to reach out to them all over again. I will start that conversation over again as a new conversation. So that's the one thing that I might do. The other scenario number two, maybe I've reached out to them and I didn't get a response, but maybe there was more than one person at the company. And so let's say there was an executive producer and there was a creative director, for example. And so I decided to reach out to the executive producer. Then what I would do now is I would reach out to the creative director. So I would try reaching out again in a couple of months, only this time I would try reaching out to a different contact. That's the way that I would handle it. So those are the two different scenarios. Scenario one is file them away for a few months, try to spark the conversation again down the road. Scenario number two, file them away for a little while, and the next time you reach out, look for a different contact. Vanessa, I see that you are asking about the microphone that I use. Just bear with me. I am putting the name in chat. Right now, I just put in the Kamika wireless, and I'm putting in the Shure right now. Just bear with me. I just had to find the link for it. Here we go. The Shure Motive. There you go. So there's links for anybody that was interested in those microphones. Those are the links for those. All right, let's see. What else? Vanessa says, thanks, that was useful. So we're talking about the microphone for doing the puppet shows. If I'm moving the puppets around, would it create a rustling sound? The wireless might work really well. I think if the microphone is on you, so again, this wireless one that I'm using, let me just open this up. So the cable, I put the cable down in my shirt. So then the only thing that's coming out is this part here, right? Let me just get this up to show you, right? It's this part here, and it literally will it just clips on, right? So it's tight to me. So unless you're rubbing the puppets up against you, for example, I think that you would probably be okay. But it would be something to experiment with. I can't even begin to tell you how many microphones I have gone through over the years, trying different things, trying to find just all in a pursuit of good audio. I want good audio, obviously, because I want the quality of my content to be good, but I also want good audio because, look, at the end of the day, I am a voice actor. And so if people are watching my content online, I want them to hear good quality audio. So I played around with a lot of different microphones. This one is the newest one. I just got this a couple of weeks ago, so I have not admittedly played around with it yet. But my last couple YouTube videos have been done with it, and I've been pretty happy with the sound of it. It seems to work fairly well. If it's something that you're looking for, the other thing I would encourage you with is we've got Black Friday coming up. We've got Cyber Monday coming up. And so if you're thinking that maybe you're going to be in the market for a microphone like that, then maybe watch for something on a Black Friday deal. I know that the Rode video mic is another very popular one. It's kind of like a mini shotgun microphone that would be plugging into your phone or into a DSLR camera or something like that. I've heard people that have used that one and done very well with that as well. So there's a few different options that are out there. Guys, I want to mention this as well, since we were talking about TikTok today. If part of the reason why you're not doing TikTok right now is because you just think that you don't have any ideas, I don't know what to post, I don't know what kind of content to create, I don't have any good ideas for videos, I've created a free download that you can get, 20 video ideas for TikTok and Instagram. And this whole thing is just meant to give you some inspiration and to remove that one particular barrier, the barrier of I don't have anything to post, I don't have anything interesting to add. That's what this resource is all about. So the URL there, markscottcoaching.com/20 video ideas. markscottcoaching.com/20 video ideas. And again, that is a free resource. You can go and you can download that right now. markscottcoaching.com/20 video ideas. All right. So again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. Chris was on with me for the first half hour answering your questions about the TikTok platform and videos for TikTok. I am here and happy to answer any questions that you've got, general business and marketing questions. So don't be shy. If there's something that you would like to ask, by all means, type it in the chat. If you could put a capital Q beside your question, it helps to make it stand out in the chat a little bit, so I can find it. But I'm happy to answer questions for you on the business and marketing side of voiceover. Vanessa says it helps if you have a fancy British accent. Yes, Chris does have that going for him for sure. Definitely adds another layer of nuance to his TikTok videos. But and again, he's creating some great content. So if you've never checked out his content, you should absolutely head over to his website or head over to his TikTok rather, and check out that content that he's posting. Let's see what else is going on here. Marissa says, yum, tri-tip sounds good. Yes, it does. Tri-tip is very delicious. Actually, I had tri-tip for the first time ever when I was in California, and now I'm hooked on it. I want to make it all the time. I love a good tri-tip. Put it on the smoker, low and slow, bring it just about to temperature, and then sear it off over live fire. Get that little bit of crust, that little bit of bark on it. Oh, good stuff. Guerrero, what was your first order of business after recording demos and getting professional photos taken? So I'm assuming that because you've recorded your demos, you've done your coaching and all of that sort of stuff. So I think the next most important thing, obviously, is you got to get your website in order. You got to make sure that you've got the right content on your website, that your demos are front and center on your website. When you're putting your demos on your website, make sure that your demos are downloadable. That is absolutely key. Don't make me go looking for your demos on your website. And as per the TikTok video that I created and posted earlier today, talking about the importance of having a really good call to action on your website as well. And contact me, which is what most of us do, is not a good call to action. Request a custom audition, request a quote, book me, schedule a consultation, book a chat, set up a meeting. Those are all clear calls to action. So definitely I would say the website is the next thing. And if your website is good to go and your demos are good to go, then you are good to go. It's time to start building a list and it's time to start doing the marketing. That is what I would be doing. All right, let's see. Mike says, Mark, what do you think is the best way to use your previous works to snowball into future work? Use them to make a new demo, a visual reel, just send clips directly to prospects. I think that building a portfolio of the work that you've done is really good. I think you can do that in a couple of different ways. Curating playlists on YouTube would be an easy way to do it. Creating a board of your projects on Pinterest would be another way to do it. So creating some sort of curated place for all of those projects to go, which would then also be able to translate to your website, right? Publishing a portfolio of your voiceover work on your website, I think is really good. I think leveraging previous work into future work. I think the other thing that's really important is every opportunity you get, I would be asking for a testimonial. You're not going to get one every single time, but you should be asking for one every single time, because those testimonials are the social proof. Those testimonials say Mike is the real deal, and Mike can do and does do exactly what he says he will do. And so that would be the other big thing that I would be doing, is getting those testimonials and then using those testimonials as part of your marketing strategy, posting those throughout your social media platforms to make sure that as many people as possible get to see those testimonials. So those are two of the ways that I would absolutely be leveraging. But then I would also make sure that you are not losing contact with the people who have hired you for work in the past. Don't let them forget about you. Have a strategy for follow-up in play that allows you to maintain consistent communication with them. Here's a question from Jordan. It says, do you think in getting momentum going in one's career, it's a good idea to have a couple of niches and to go hard in marketing those, or to be a generalist and hit as many targets as possible? I can tell you from my personal experience, Jordan, that I did have a couple of niches that I focused on hard. I was open to doing other opportunities based on my skill and my ability, but I was only really marketing myself hard in a couple of different places. And my thought process was that I wanted to build up a really solid client base in those places where I felt like there was the most opportunity for consistent repeat work, but then being open to the other jobs that may come my way, whether that's an audition that I saw through a casting site, something that I got through an agent, people that reached out to me through websites, social media, etc. So I think it's just the easiest way, because trying to market yourself to 15 different places, assuming you have 15 different demos, right? In reality, you could actively market yourself to as many different genres of voiceover as demos that you have. And so I know voice actors that have got 2 demos. I know voice actors that have got 27 demos. And marketing yourself in 27 different directions is going to be really, really hard, really, really overwhelming, probably really frustrating. But picking a couple of key niche markets where you think that you have the best potential, I think can be a really smart strategy. So for me, I was looking at, where's my work coming from? Where am I making my money? And when I was able to determine where that was by, going through invoices, looking at past bookings and all of that sort of stuff, then it became a no-brainer to, okay, these are the areas of voiceover where the most income is coming from. So let me just focus in on those areas. And then that's the way that I niched down. I hear voices. I just finished a book on maximizing LinkedIn. Totally didn't know about the Alumni tool. Great for drilling down and finding leads among alumni from your college. And I would absolutely recommend for anybody that has gone to college and looking through and data mining your alumni association is absolutely one of the easiest ways, because you have an instant connection already because of the fact that you're alumni. And so definitely something that you want to be taking advantage of. Real Kids VO family, we're considering VO Atlanta, and I see you are a speaker. In your experience, what is the best aspect of going to VO Atlanta for experienced talent? VO Atlanta probably gives you the most access to the most diverse group of coaches, teachers, mentors, etc., because it is the biggest conference. So there are just more sessions. There are more coaches, there are more experts, and they are covering off every topic that you could possibly dream of. And specifically in your case, there's also a separate kids program that might be something that you would want to look into. There's also a separate Spanish program that runs, it's a conference within a conference, basically, is what it comes down to. And that's kind of what the kids program will be, is kind of a conference inside of a conference. But I have been going to VO Atlanta since, I think my first year was maybe 2016. I can't even remember exactly. I've been going for quite a while. I have never regretted the decision once. I have learned something new every single time, even though every time I've gone, I've been going to teach. I have always learned something new. I've always sat in on sessions and learned new things and met new people. I think there's an incredible networking opportunity. I think it's nice to just be within the community and meet people within the community, but it is absolutely going to give you the ability to get face-to-face time. And the biggest thing I would say, because the schedule is so huge, that in and of itself can be overwhelming. So I also always encourage people to have a clear objective. What am I going to learn? So if you decide that this is the year I'm going to double down on my e-learning efforts, then look for the e-learning courses, plan your schedule around the e-learning courses, dive deeply into e-learning because you have the ability to do that. But I definitely think that planning it out ahead of time is worth it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of VO Atlanta. I'm not getting paid to say that or anything like that. Just to be clear, I'm a big fan of the conference, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to have the opportunity to go back again, which is going to be really good. All right, let's see. Rinse Resource. Voiceover artists need to unite and do what they can to defeat the growing use of AI voiceovers. You might think it's no big deal, but remember that 3 years from now, when 90% of the jobs are gone. You know what? This is a really interesting topic, and I've spoke on this topic in the past. We can't defeat AI. We can't. It's like if you go back in time and you were a typewriter manufacturer, it's like all of the typewriter manufacturers getting together and saying we must defeat the personal computer. You can't stop progress. It's Polaroid going back and saying we must stop the digital camera. It's Kodak, one of the largest photography company in the history of the world, being eliminated because they were pushing back against digital technology, and they were absolutely convinced that the digital camera was never going to take off, and now Kodak does not exist. We can band together all we want. We are not going to make AI go away. It is not going to go away. So the alternative to that is, I think we need to join the conversation and hopefully be able to steer the ship a little bit. Steer the ship with regards to copyrights, steer the ship with regards to usage, steer the ships with regards to rates. I think those are the things that we need to be doing, because all the protests in the world, all the frustration in the world is not going to stop it. It is a lot of voiceover going to be AI in 5 years? Yeah, there's a distinct possibility. I think it's going to be a lot of low-end voiceover. I think it's the voiceover jobs that are getting done on Fiverr. I think it's the IVR, on-hold messaging, probably some of the lower-end e-learning. Ultimately, I think is going to go the way of AI. And so my whole thing is, if you can't beat them, join them. And so I'm looking at, if this is not going to go away, which it's not, the technology is not going to go away, is there a way that I can embrace that technology and make it part of my overall business offering? So where I offer, maybe that looks like premium human voiceover services for the clients that want that and are willing to pay that, but having my own AI voice model that I can offer to the clients that aren't going to pay for human voices and want to be able to use AI. So at least I still have an income stream as a result of it. I think that's probably the more realistic scenario for what we need to be doing with AI, is just looking at how can we be a part of the conversation? How can we shape that conversation going forward? Again, guys, I just want to remind you about this webinar, 10 Marketing Commandments for the VOpreneur. This is the most accessible webinar that I have ever done, because I'm offering it $47. Generally speaking, when I do these live sessions, they're $147, but this one is going to be $47. I want to be able to make it available to as many people as possible, although there is a limited number of space available. But it's going to be a great webinar. You're going to walk away with a lot of actionable, practical advice. You know me. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about actionable, practical advice. So mark it on your calendar. It's November 15th, 7 o'clock Eastern. If you are unable to attend live, don't worry. Everybody that signs up will get access to a complete video recording, so you do not have to miss the training if you can't be there live. You can sign up for this at marcscottcoaching.com. That is the website, marcscottcoaching.com. Guys, thank you for hanging out. As always, I love doing these Free Advice Fridays. I've been having a lot of fun with these Free Advice Fridays. I want to remind you about next week's Free Advice Friday. This is going to be a good one. David Toback, who is the creator of the GVAA Rate Guide. David Toback is going to be joining me for the first half of Free Advice Friday next week. So if you have got questions about rates, if you have got questions about usage, all of that sort of stuff. Anything that is related to the rate side of voiceover. I have a feeling this is going to be a really popular show. Expecting a lot of people to sign up or sign in and join this one. So that is next Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget about the time change. I think this is the weekend that we set the clocks back here in North America. So next Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern, David Toback is going to be on the show. So make sure you join us for that. And actually, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, which I would love it if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel. Absolutely. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You will be able to get notified. I already have the event set up. So you can click onto that event. You can click the notify button. So that is next Friday's Free Advice Friday. And then the week after that, Tracy Lindley is going to be on the show. And Tracy Lindley is going to be answering all of your questions about LinkedIn. So some good stuff coming up on Free Advice Friday in the next couple of weeks. And I hope that you will, I hope that you'll join us on the live stream, that you will come and ask your questions and get your answers. And by the way, if there's anybody that you would like to see on the show, or if there is a specific topic that you would like to see covered on the show, I am absolutely open to hearing who you would like to have on, and I am absolutely open to hearing what topics that you would like to have covered. So feel free to type that into the comments, or you can also just email me directly to mark@markscottvoiceover.com. I am absolutely open to that. I'm always looking for ideas for guests so that I can always make sure that I'm adding value and that these Free Advice Friday broadcasts are always worth it. While you're on the YouTube channel, make sure you check out the latest video that I posted. Bye-bye Twitter. This video is about there's a group of people who have said because Elon has taken over that they are going to leave Twitter. And I understand that there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of concern about what's going to happen on the platform. So I created a video that offers some things to consider before you walk away from the platform and some tips for how you can ultimately replace that platform. So check that video out. That's the latest one on my YouTube channel. And don't forget the new episode of the podcast, which came out yesterday, the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, brought to you by Vocation Conference, Vocation coming to Cancun. Reed Montague talking about cyber threats. This is one of those things where we don't think about it until it's too late because we assume that it's never going to happen to us. But the reality is that it can happen to us, and it does happen to us. And you might be surprised at the things that we can do to keep it from happening to us. There are steps that we can take that are a lot easier than you might realize. And so that's the new episode of the podcast. Of course, that's available at VOpreneur.com or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. Check that one out. Reed gave a lot of really good advice, and there's a lot of things that you could probably spend a little bit of time this weekend doing and have a more secure business going forward next week. So check that out again, VOpreneur.com or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. All right, guys, thanks always for joining in on Free Advice Friday. Hope you enjoyed the show this week. Hope you learned a few things from Chris and the information that he shared. And we'll come back next week. We'll do it all over again with David Toback from GVAA. As always, whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.